Time to break in the new set. Welcome back, guys. The PWR Moves Podcast. If you didn't know, now you know. We're redoing the pod. New set, new name, and new agenda, I guess you can say. So, obviously, Happy PWR Podcast. We have retired. But we wanted to kind of transition into topics that are maybe entrepreneurial, people out doing something different, making moves, basically, hence PWR Moves. So I couldn't be happier to introduce our first guest, Sean Mills, a.k.a. Wheeze, who is always making moves. And then we also got co-host for today, Mr. Dwardley Edward, Debo Flex. Thank you for being on, Sean. Thank you for making the trip up. I'm excited. We got the worker event on Saturday, just 2 days out. How you feeling about that?
Well, first off, I just wanted to thank you guys for having me here. I'm super blessed to, to help break in the new set. PWR Moves is a good name. Yeah. I like PWR Moves. And that's so, the PWRBLD brand is so versatile because you can just put power with everything and then just spin it however you want to do it. Like, it's actually so genius. I don't know if when you first started it, you knew how versatile it was going to be.
I honestly didn't.
But it's amazing. But thank you again for having me. It feels great to be back in the Northeast, back here. Every time I come back to Pennsylvania and I see you guys again, I almost like reconnect with another side of myself where, like, you know how it is being away from home, you know, you kind of reinvent yourself, you form different habits, even like you kind of get in a different headspace as well. And coming home, you know, you kind of like heal yourself or reconnect with like that other side of you a bit. So just to be here with you guys now, it means a lot to me. And just even being willing to have this event with Worker, with 110, with Avances, and you guys being willing to host that means a lot to me. So thank you guys again.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to put it together, and I feel like it kind of came together pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we're always trying to like run events, do things with other brands that we obviously support and connect with, like the ethos of the brands, right? Like, I feel like from day one, that's kind of always been something that I've stressed, just kind of like the fucking hardworking mentality, make shit happen on your own. And obviously, like, seeing your brand, I love it. I love everything about it. It's a no BS, just straight to the point. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's kind of missing a little bit in today's day and age. I feel like everyone's kind of like trying to be, I don't know, like a little bit more. They're trying to be like too flashy, or I don't know. They're trying to do too much a lot of times. And I get it. You want to stand out. But sometimes I think just the simplicity and the straightforward ethos of like Worker brand, I love that.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I 100%. Well, I'm glad you picked up on that because that's one of our biggest goals, honestly. I feel like the space that we're in has become way too much about, you know, driving to the gym in your Lambo, flexing on the people that even supported you and got you there to even begin with, to be even in that position. And with Worker, you know, Worker has no enemies, Worker has no factions. It's really just about kind of reconnecting with the reason why we all started this journey to begin with. And, you know, we all started this journey of powerlifting, or even if you're watching this and you don't powerlift, whether it's bodybuilding, whether you just live a normal life, have a normal job, like whatever that may be, you know, we all started this journey of trying to better our own situations, create a better reality for ourselves, and surrounding ourselves with like-minded people whose number one goal is to do just that. So that's really my number one objective with Worker, is to build that community of like-minded people. And just this medium of community lifts, I feel, is a very organic way to bring people back together and do just that, you know?
No, yeah, that's definitely another big part of it, as I've seen, like, the community aspect, doing the gym tours. I feel like you're here. Next week you have another one already planned? You've already done a few just recently down in, Atlanta, Texas. So I think that's the way to do it, too. It's just organic. You're actually there meeting these people that are supporting you. That's one of the big reasons that we do so many events here. We're always trying to just bring people together, maybe get somebody, you know, just out of their house. Like, some people probably see a lot of what we're doing, PWRBLD Gym, you know, Worker, all the things that, you know, Debo's always doing. It's just getting people out of their comfort zone, I think, is incredibly important. hence why whenever we run an event here, for the most part, it's usually free entry too. It's like,
and it should be free entry because it's not about like making money from these events at all. It's about bringing people together, and any sort of friction like charging for events or making people jump through unnecessary hoops, it's just not necessary. Like we put up a RSVP for the event, but it's just to get a rough head count. Like we're not turning people away at the door. We're saying, oh, you didn't like sign up through this link, or just a lot of these arbitrary things that maybe you've seen in the past, but just getting as many people out for these events as possible and just trying to create these core memories for people so that you can look back on kind of the experience as a whole months down the line, years down the line, and reminisce saying, oh, that was such a good time. Remember that? Because honestly, a big inspiration for having these community lifts was one, Alex Waters, the owner of DNA Strength, shout out to him. He actually asked us before our first even launch, or it might have been after the first launch, he reached out to us and asked us to do like a meet and greet sort of thing at DNA Strength in Atlanta. And I told him straight up, I've said, honestly, man, like, I'm not interested in doing a meet and greet because I just think the concept of a meet and greet in general, where it's like come stand in line and meet some like random people on the internet, you know what I mean? It's just kind of weird and it's kind of cringy. But what I did like the idea was of having a community lift where it's like, okay, we're all coming in, just getting after it, having conversations, sharing experience, sharing the combo rack, and just having a good time, you know? Because I remember the other inspiration for the community lifts was I just remember back in 2021, 2022, when I was still at Penn State, some of my fondest memories in the sport were the events that we would have at Power Build, KOP, Conchi, where 110% would pull up, all these other companies would pull up, and everyone would just lift, you know what I mean? Like, it's not about, like, standing in line and, like, doing all this bullshit. It's about, like, let's just all come in and have a great time together, you know?
No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, the meet and greet stuff. I mean, obviously, I get it to a certain point. Like, maybe somebody's, like, limited on time. They're, million followers, whatever. You got to kind of do that type of format. But, yeah, I think, with us, it's always just been, like, come out, lift. We're all lifting together. Yep. Doesn't matter who you are, how much you lift. Jump in. Like, we're deadlifting. Jump in 45 at a time. Yeah. Go when you're ready.
That's fair.
But, and I think one of the big things I wanted to kind of touch on, too, is just, like, surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Mm-hmm. And I feel like kind of that's, you were up here, you were around like-minded people, but I think, you wanted to get outside the comfort zone, get away from home, moving to Houston like a lot of people have. I kind of wanted to touch on that. Like, obviously, you've been involved with other brands. Mm-hmm. Now you're doing your own thing. Do you think, like, being in Houston, being affiliated with other brands, being around so many other brands, do you think that had an impact on being like, you know what, now it's time, I'm going to do my own thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And first off, I'm 100% grateful for all the opportunities I've received here and in Houston as well. Definitely what I would say is that, you become your environment, and for better and for worse, and with different things in the past, I learned a lot from the past. I'm not going to, like, say the thing where I'm not going to pull, like, the card where it's like, oh, I was just young and dumb, you know what I mean? But, you grow up a lot from, like, 19 to 23 years old, you know what I'm saying? And being in different environments, you learn a lot. And now with Worker, I think my number one thing that I remind myself each day and that I really carry with me is that this is the opportunity to do things the way that me and Dion want to do them and to do things the right way. So I carry that through every day with Worker, just making sure that we're intentional with everything that we're doing, that we have our ear to the floor, that we stay integrated with the community and it never gets away from that. And we put the community on the forefront, where the two number one priorities with Worker is to, one, create the best product, but two, grow the best community. And keeping that in the forefront and keeping that in the spotlight as to those are the two objectives, it kind of keeps us rooted in what really matters and how to really carry ourselves and go about things the right way. Even with Worker, we have a list of 10 rules, with the first one being no excuses. And these 10 rules are we not only made them for, like, the community, because these are just a virtuous set of guidelines to kind of operate by, but we made it for ourselves to hold ourselves accountable and keep our mindsets right, so that no matter how far or how short things go with Worker, you never get away from these core values. So that's something that was like really important to me, that we created prior to even selling our first piece of clothing ever.
Yeah. Actually, really good point too. Just from a business perspective, having core values is like such a staple. If you actually like read into some different books about starting your own business, I'm sure Sean's probably picked up on it from other brands, businesses, whatever it may be. Having core values is so important, because one of the most difficult parts is having a team that is aligned.
Yep.
Right.
So difficult. Like literally almost it feels impossible at times.
Yeah.
And that's how you know, like, you know, if jumping into a brand is the right thing for you, because you have to fall in line with the mission statement. Like, does it mean something to you, the brand itself, and the people around you, right?
Yeah.
So
If you're not aligned, one, if you have a brand and you don't have those core values or fundamentals set in stone, what happens, and you see this in the landscape that we're in, is that things change and things morph and evolve over time. And if you don't have those set fundamental principles to ground you and keep you rooted in that identity, it's very easy to lose yourself. You know what I mean? And it's from the outside looking in, you can look at things and be like, how did it turn to this? How did certain things become this? But when you're in the moment, in the day-to-day, what's normal to you is what's normal. And as things change, you can look in the past and say, how did certain things become a certain way? So that's why it's that much more important to have those fundamentals, have those core values, and on top of that, have a killer team of individuals who are all on the same page. Because if you're not on the same page, that's the number one way for things to get lost or certain things to slip or fall by the wayside. And that's just how many things break down from the inside out.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've literally experienced it myself, being with the prior gym and brand that I was with. They had a gym, supplement company, clothing line. That was one of the things I seen from kind of the inside, is just from the CEO, the founders of the company, down to like their creative team, to their managers. Things started to slowly fall apart, and there was a disconnect, and you could tell some of the core values that we thought coming into this company they didn't necessarily have.
yeah.
Right.
And that was kind of like that was like a red flag to me. I had a meeting with the owner of the gym that I was managing, and you know, he was saying some things, I was saying some things. You know, it was professional, but it was just, I realized this isn't the place for me anymore. And it was just as simple as that. Like, left on relatively good terms, and that was literally what kind of inspired me to do Power Build, because I was like, the way that they were kind of doing things, it wasn't for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it my way. And it's like, I feel like you have like kind of a similar transition.
Yeah.
And that's how beautiful things happen sometimes.
That's how things
evolve.
You know,
as one door closes, another one opens.
Right.
The cliche saying, and it's crazy when you actually experience that in like real life. You're like, damn, like they really know what they're talking about with these sayings.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, everything's because I 100% relate to what you're saying. For the people who like know my story and just like the past couple years that I've had from moving down to Houston and eventually starting Worker, is that you know, everything's like a blessing in disguise, and I think everything really happens for a reason. You know, like I actually stopped going to Corrupted prior to the gym even closing. And because I had to separate myself from certain things, and there was just like a lot of weirdness that was going on down there that I'm not going to get really into, because we were all forced to sign contracts. But essentially, like, and you could kind of tell from the outside looking in where things kind of shifted to not really being what initially it started as, you know? And I mean, really, Worker is just the chance to do things the way that we want to do them and do them the right way. And similar to how you had to separate yourself, and obviously you've created a much bigger beast out of what you're doing now relative to what you were doing in the past. It fuels me every day with Worker to put my best forward to create something bigger and better.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I wasn't even actually like planning on opening a gym. Like, I think when I was in like a senior in high school, I was like, you know, it'd be cool to open a gym. But then after kind of being around gyms and doing some of the other things I was doing, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if a gym's for me. Got to manage a gym for a year and a half, seen how things were. And to be honest, just kind of the fire got lit after that parting of ways. And I was just, I don't know, I was kind of like, you know what, like, let me fucking show you what I can do. You know what I mean? And like, honestly, that's kind of how I've always been motivated. Like, I know some people, they talk about like, don't let negativity, you know, you shouldn't be holding on to negativity. I'm like, fuck that. I love that shit. I love when people doubt me. I love when people say that you can't do something. I almost want people to do that.
Yeah, it makes you want to do it even more.
Exactly. Honestly. It'll literally flip a switch that you almost can't flip unless it's like from an external source. And I love that shit. I don't know. It's probably like a sickness too. But at the same time, I get fueled by like the positivity, the people around me who are like supporting me, who have like joined the team. They've been a part of, you know, this growth. That also fuels me because I want to continue to elevate everyone around me. And that's why I always like, you know, like Sean's been around literally from like a couple months into Conchi. And then Debo's been around literally pre-Conchi. So it's like, if there's anything I can ever do, I will go out of my way to help these guys, to help Sue, Joe Wee, all these guys. Like, you know what, rising tides, rise all ships, right? So it's like, nothing's more true than that too. You'd be around some people that they're not like that. They kind of like, they don't want to like put people on.
You got it, yeah.
It literally works the opposite way.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I think that just comes from maybe like a deep-rooted insecurity or something along the lines of that. But like I'm smiling over here while you're talking because like I just could not relate more to what exactly you're saying about the negativity fueling you. You know what I mean? Like I have a whiteboard in my apartment, and like call it corny, but like I have a lot of positive affirmations written on that whiteboard, but I have a lot of negative affirmations written in my on my whiteboard, and then even in my notebook, just like certain things where I hear that come to me and that I hear here and there, I write them down and I read them every day. And just this journey that I've been, Worker, we had our first release like 5 months ago, but the conceptualization's been in the works for the past 10 months. And every single day, I just feel so alive because I feel like I'm learning so much more every single day while being in the driver's seat now, as well as I just feel so fueled because it's like, I almost have like, the best way to describe it is I have like a huge chip on my shoulder right now. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing that's going to fuel you more than that. And it's a blessing because without that, I'm not sure that Worker would be where it is. We have a long ways to go. We haven't, in my book, we haven't done anything like that I would deem worthy or successful yet, but just where things are at right now definitely would not be the case without said things happening.
100%. Yeah, I think that's just like something you have to know yourself, how you have that like whiteboard where there's some positive affirmations, some negative comments. I love that. I think that's incredible. I kind of do something similar. I just like use my phone and my notes. But yeah, if you're somebody that like maybe responds to negativity and you kind of more so close off or like maybe you're like retract, maybe that's not for you.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that maybe has been stuck and you're like, you need that little extra motivation, maybe try that. Maybe the positive shit's not working. You're getting a little complacent. Write down some negative shit that somebody has said to you, whether it's in high school, middle school, a parent, a friend, a brother, a sister. I take shit from everyone. I still have moments from my mom, my dad, people in high school. I use all of that shit. And again, like, love my parents and everything, but it's like there's just certain times where like, you know, you just like they, you know, maybe doubt you in a certain way. Right. Maybe it's coming from a protective, you know, stance, but it's like, nah, I still use that too. Like them like asking like, are you sure you want to do this? Or like, what are you going to do? This and that. And I'm like, I'll show you.
Yeah. Let's just watch.
Yeah. CT knows this. First time I hit 2K, it was off the strength of somebody calling me out, and I just recorded that video and I just played it every single lift, and I loved every single moment of it because he ain't show up for it. And you know, it's the same thing with like comments and stuff like that. I'm a fairly nice guy. I got nothing negative to say about nobody, but I love negativity myself, like, because like, you know, it helps me in one way or another because people doubting you just makes you want to be better because you know, once that negativity just leaves, like, what now? Like, what else you gotta say?
Yep.
Like, how much better do I have to show you? I mean, I'm not doing it for you, but I'm showing you that negativity isn't nothing but words.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the negativity is definitely like a great source of fuel. And then I think sometimes like if it comes down to like maybe it's a competition, executing, you're kind of like you do that for like you and you do that for the people around you supporting you. But I think sometimes like this shit ain't easy, whether you're trying to hit a 2K total, win a national championship, start a brand, open a gym. It feels damn near impossible day in and day out. But sometimes you just need that little nudge and things like that, like a negative comment or somebody calling you out. Like those are the little things that can get you by day to day when you're feeling tired, when you haven't fucking slept, when you have to get the training day in, when you have to figure out where to get good blanks. People don't realize every little thing is so difficult. You know what I mean? It's like it's supposed to be hard, right? Like anything worthwhile is supposed to be hard. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's the little things that you don't necessarily want to do that are going to move the needle forward over time, you know, from like laying the stall mats in this gym to picking out the equipment to getting the dealers for set equipment to getting the blueprints of the flooring or the branding, like all the little things, even the fundamentals or the core values, all those things take time, whether it's you're trying to build a clothing brand or a gym or even just a personal brand. Like curating that, it's something that needs to be done with the utmost attention and intention so that it stands the test of time, and the attention to detail is what people notice over time. Like just the littlest things in this gym, like the walls to the decals to the color schemes of everything, you know, like it's all perfectly tied together. And without those things, plus the culture and community that you've been able to build, is what creates, or it's what makes PWRBLD what it is. And without all those things together, like I'm not sure it would be as successful. Obviously, with like the culture and the community being most important.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, details are important in every little step of the way. Sometimes like I feel like people sometimes look at like maybe they make a list and there's 100 things you have to do. I feel like sometimes that's where people shut down right there. They look at like this laundry list of items that they have to do. I remember like even with this gym, I created like a spreadsheet, and I just, from the moment I knew there was going to be another location, even this is like an important step that people just don't even think about, is like I would just write down any idea, anything I knew I would have to do, whether it was starting another email or like creating a Google workspace for the managers, or just, I mean, literally, there was probably 1,000 items, but I would, even just to set myself up for success, write down literally every little thought. If you're driving, I always think of shit while I'm driving. Yeah. Little hack for me is I send myself emails, and I just put the note in the subject line, send it to myself because I could just quickly do it. Boom. Now I don't forget it, because I'm sure you guys know, you've been doing a lot. You'll have like the most epic thought, and it'll escape you in a second if you don't like jot it down. That's why like a lot of times I'll be driving, like I just like quickly like boom boom boom, like quick note, because otherwise I will literally forget it. It's happened to me where I'm like, damn, I think of this awesome idea, and then like a month later I'm like, shit, I didn't ever do anything about that.
Right.
Or there's like content ideas. A lot of times I'll just like randomly text Sue, boom boom boom, what do you think about this? Or I'll send him a video, anything. Those are like the little things, the little moments you have to take advantage of to kind of set yourself up for success. Because it's like, it's so fragile from like doing something that's going to work to it completely failing. I think that like that fine line, it's mind blowing, and that's why it's not easy. And a lot of people maybe sometimes fall off. But yeah, I think one of the things I was kind of curious about with like Worker is you mentioned how you were thinking of all these things for so long. Like how long from the moment you decided, all right, I'm going to do my own thing, to actually like launching your first product? Like what was the time frame?
So the idea for the silhouettes, or just the style of clothing, came to me in around July or August of 2023. And then September was then when there was a huge falling out. And we were all kind of just like left on a whim as to like no real closure as to kind of the situation that we were in. So it was in October, or November time, I believe November, where I came up with, I had the silhouettes for the ideas of the clothing in the back of my head, but it was when it just, and it's one of those, like you said, when you have an idea, it just kind of comes to you, and you need to take it and write it. I have a running list of notes that it's just a to-do list, and I always just check things off. But like the name came to me, and I had to write it down immediately. And I put it in my notes, and then the next time I saw Dion, who's the designer of Worker, I asked him, I say, remember those silhouettes that we were thinking about? What if we just called the brand Worker and made the logo just WKR, like super simplistic? And it's like one of those things where like you float it out there and you don't know if it sounds good or bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we thought about it, and we're just like looking up, and I'm like, I feel like that works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And obviously since then, I feel like, you know, the WKR and just the Worker and the mantra, keep working, you know, it's something that it sticks with you and rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
But like at first it wasn't like that. So from that initial idea to in November for the specific branding to December curating and finalizing our 10 rules or our 10 core values to getting the first samples in hand in late December and early January to debuting the hat when we went to Sheffield to multiple runs of samples to get the clothing, to get the fit, the feel, the small details like the inverted seams, the distressing, the washes, to getting the custom, like all the stuff from the packaging to the user experience to every little specific detail of the clothes, which is why I say you have to have the utmost attention to detail and intention when it comes to what exactly you're creating. Season 1 wasn't ready to release until like April, May. So it was just constant working around the clock from honestly like early December to May. So like 6 months for our first ever release to get like the products right, because this isn't something that great work cannot be rushed.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Rome was not built in a day, as corny as it sounds. The idea for Power Build and everything that goes into the brand and everything that it is, you don't just think of that on the spot. That's like something that's slowly built and chiseled away over time to it becoming what it is. So we didn't have our first release. Well, technically we had a pre-order release for like this Black Heart Rose tee that it was just like an inside joke with me and my following that we released in April. But even then, we still used the Worker manufacturers, the quality, the small details, the overall aesthetic. So from the time in early December to April when that first ever piece released, it was like 5-6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I was getting to that because it's like I think a lot of people, I don't know what it is. Seems like everyone wants to start their own like apparel line. I'm like, man, yeah, I don't know if you know what you're getting into. Like we're like the gym, right? Power Build's like mainly a gym, but we do some apparel. I have no intentions of it being like an apparel brand. We just have it to support the gym. We have it to like have the community rep the gym because it's even like the little bit that we do. It is like a whole other job.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's very hard, especially when you're getting into now like custom fitting, you know, true like made, you know, it's like
Cut and sew,
custom, yeah,
everything.
And you're doing your own look. You're not kind of doing like the cookie cutter stuff.
Like you're just not printing on a blank.
You're
changing the width of the sleeve, the length, the measurements of everything. You're selecting the swatches, the Pantones. Like everything is on you to do. You know what I mean? Like that's like a full-time job.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you got to get the sample. And you got to look at it. And you're like, fuck, this isn't right. You get the next sample 2 weeks later. This ain't right. Another 2 weeks. This ain't right.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, it's brutal, especially if you want to do it right.
Right.
You know, anyone could print on a blank. Hey, that's what we do, but still.
No, but like honestly, not to even like flame printing on a blank, because that's what a lot of clothing brands are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you guys have such a strong community that you guys can take the branding that you guys curated and put it on a blank and like do great releases and have people rep the shit out of the clothes because people love Power Build that much. You know what I'm saying? If you guys went full custom cut and sew everything and you're articulating every little detail, it's going to be a full-time thing for you guys, and you're going to have to put a lot more into it, but it's ultimately just what you want out of it. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah, one of the only like custom items we have are like, funny enough, like the shorts that Debo has on. And we literally, dude, it was like a year and a half of like getting what I thought was like the right materials and fit. And then all of a sudden, I was just talking to somebody about this literally like the other day. We started having people blowing the asses out of them. Like, obviously, we're a gym. We have people lifting heavy as fuck. Yeah. We got some big boys lifting heavy, squatting heavy, and then all of a sudden, asses started getting blown out. So here I thought, like, we had a cool product. Nope. We just had to start giving out free shorts. So I was like, anyone that, like, something happened, I was like, here you go, man. Sorry about that. Went back, got another run, thought we had it dialed in. Same thing. We had some like stitching issues. Finally, I think it was like V4, V5. We like have perfected it. Yep. And then this is the thing that always kind of kills me too. And like, you know, and I'm like somebody that literally tries to like help as much as I can. Like I probably give out too much information, but people sometimes like want our like shorts. Mm-hmm. They want like our manufacturer and like all the details. And I'm like, guys, like there's only like so much I can give, you know what I mean? Like I can't just like, this took me like 2 years and like tens of thousands of dollars. Cause like if you're ordering custom shit, you're going to be spending a lot. Like I'm ordering like 1,000 pieces. They cost 16 a piece or whatever it is. Yeah. Do the math. And I'm sure like, especially with what you got going on, I bet you've already received DMs like, hey Sean, like where you get the hats? Where you get where you get this? And it's like, you get help to some extent, but it's like, guys, like that's work you have to do on your own. Like you can't just like come and rip somebody else's product. Like, and not to mention like, you're not going to get anything out of it when you're doing it that way. Mm-hmm. You want like half of the value is going through that 2-year process, having the shorts blow out on somebody on the gym floor, being embarrassed. So that way you learn from that. Don't make that mistake again. Yeah. So
no, absolutely.
Got to do the work.
Yeah. It all takes a lot of work. And I mean, just you've experienced that with the shorts and trying those, but like you know how it is when you're sampling overseas, like the turnaround times are even longer. Like we're gonna wait like 3 to 4 weeks for a sample, and if that's not right, push everything back another 3 to 4 weeks. You know what I mean? And that's where the attention to detail and getting the product right comes in that much more. And obviously you guys have gotten that now, but like when someone just asks you for the manufacturer or just like kind of just wants it like spoon fed to them, it's almost a disservice to give it to them because they're not learning. Like you need to go through the trials and tribulations of falling on your face and then getting a little bit right, but then there's 60% more that we need to continue to R&D and get better. You know what I mean? It's not something that just it's time and it takes a process, and that's something that everyone who wants to get into the space needs to go to. You know, like I'm super grateful for everyone who's asked, but a lot of people have asked for advice as to creating their own clothing since they saw me do the same thing with Worker. And like a lot of people, like the idea of starting a clothing brand is very romantic, right? Like, yeah, we're gonna make shirts, we're gonna make hoodies, we're gonna sell out our releases, yada yada. But like, if you want to make money, if making money is your number one goal, like do not start a clothing brand. Like,
definitely not.
There's so many greats in this beyond this space in clothing where the thing that they preach is like it takes like 5 to 10 years to really hit your stride, and that's something that we're willing to do, and we're willing to go through the shit to get there. But like, if the people don't even take it from me, if you take it from the greats in clothing and fashion, and they're saying don't even start a clothing brand, then it's like you really have to want to bleed over this shit in order to really do it. You know, like there's been other people in this space who like even just trying to give out as much free game as possible. I've had like a lot of just free consultations with people who are considering starting a clothing brand. Shout out to Nick Peterson and Golden Boy Ty. And I had to like break it down for them where it's like, you guys have to really love clothes, and you guys have to be willing to assume all the shit that comes with it in order to get to that point where like you're considered a successful clothing brand, you know? And when people ask for just like the manufacturer straight up, it's like something where it's like, oh, like where are you manufacturing work or yada yada. It's something where it's like the saying, if you give What's the saying
It's
regarding
like if you
giving
give a
someone
man a fish,
Yeah.
he can eat for a day,
And
but
he'll
if
come
you
back hungry.
teach him how to fish,
That's
he
how you
can
gotta
eat
do it.
forever.
You
or
gotta
something like
teach
that.
him the process. Like
Yeah.
you have to go through it yourself of searching through the different manufacturers and going through the shit of like trying out shitty ones, trying out good ones, getting a sample back, not knowing if there's really potential here, trying to R&D, trying to negotiate with them. Like it all just takes so much time and just hours on hours on hours of back end work where it's like when you really want to put your all towards it, a lot of times other things need to take the back seat as a priority. Like I'm sure with Power Build, you had to have the conversation with yourself where it's, you know, because I'm putting my all into this, I can't necessarily be the utmost best or give my 110% effort as if I'm solely being an athlete with no other obligations or other priorities. You know what I mean? That's a conversation that I have to have with myself where it's not an excuse to not be your best and give your all and put your everything to not put your best foot forward towards managing the business and managing the athletics. You know what I'm saying? But it's a challenge that we need to amount to, and it's things that we need to learn and go through over time. And that's not something that you don't just magically gain that skill or that ability by someone just giving you their manufacturer and or not even just the manufacturer aspect, just anything that comes with like running your own business, you know?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, now, you know, like me and you have a relationship where it's like you'll just be like, hey, yo, I have this manufacturer.
Right,
like
yeah.
you'll just like tell me and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, sick, I appreciate that. And like vice versa. We've done that for each other because we created that relationship and that network.
Right.
But yeah, it's like if you're just like kind of a random and you're like DMing someone like, hey, where can I get this exact thing so I can make a product? It's
And
like,
compete against you.
yeah, it's kind of weird. And again, like I feel like it's doing yourself a disservice. Like if you're kind of trying to take the shortcut, then you're probably not like trying to start a business of any kind.
Right.
Like there is literally no shortcuts. Like no matter, even if you do have some help in the beginning, like you're still going to have to do your own work. You're going to have to create your own product. You have to put your own spin on it. And I do want to kind of jump into what you just kind of on the tail end there we're talking about, because it's always an interesting topic too, because we're kind of like, hey, like, is this really for you? Do you really want to start an apparel company or any business? And it's like your priorities are going to have to change.
Yeah.
Training is going to become very, very difficult. I always
Right.
get like the DMs if like I'm posted like a 10:30 p.m. training session, like, why are you training this late? Like, this is late. I'm like, this is the only fucking time I got.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know when else to do it.
Priorities. You gotta do what you gotta do throughout the day. I mean, like everything else comes after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel
remember
like
being in there with you at like 1 o'clock in the morning some days.
whatever it takes. That's
Yeah.
why we made a fucking shirt. Like, this is whatever it takes. So literally people will say something to me. I'm like, I don't know. I just like, I turn off like emotion, or I turn off even the second thought of like, I should maybe go do this. I just say whatever it takes to get this next fucking thing done in front of me. That's what I'm going to do. And that's turned into a lot of 2 a.m. nights. That's where I leave the gym, but it is what it is. Like, again, it's like, how bad do you really want it? And
Right.
unless you're willing to do those type of nights, those type of long days, like, dude, I've like 20-hour days. I'm not even kidding. Like, that shit was normal for a while. I got to say, like, as of right now, I'm doing okay. I'm getting like 7 hours of sleep at night. I'm feeling good, but it's, you know, Debo's been in the gym with me multiple times. Sean helped build KOP multiple times where we're coming in, putting equipment together, then we're training, leaving whenever we get done.
Yeah.
Shit, Conchi, I don't think you slept for like 2 days.
Oh, yeah. It was –
Dude.
I was talking to your boy Steve today about the gym,
Like,
and that's what we were talking about. He's like, how long did it take from getting the keys for Conchi to opening it? And I was like, well, I didn't know any better at the time, but I got the keys like mid-August. We opened that bitch up mid-September in a month. And obviously it was a smaller location, but I was telling him, I was like, me, Debo, Corey, Ken's, we were in that damn gym we were in there every day, but like the 3 days prior, day and night, we were painting the walls still the night before. I don't even know what time we left that night. It was like 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Came back the next day to like open the gym for like its grand opening at like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Crazy. Loved it. It was fun.
But everyone talks about like the idea of starting a business, starting a gym, you know. If you're not willing to make that sacrifice, like, it's not for you. And there's people from the past who weren't willing to make that sacrifice or that leap, who just wanted to put, you know, the athletics first. And like, I respect that, but like, being a business owner, and like, I feel very egotistical when I say that, where it's like being a business, because I feel like I haven't done shit yet, but like, I'm more so speaking on behalf of you, where it's like, being a business owner is not for the faint of heart, you know what I mean? Where if you're not willing to bleed over the business like that, then like, you can't accept, or you can't have the good without like going through the shit of it as well. You know what I mean? And Steve's one person where like, I believe he will understand what it takes, and he's willing to do what he has to do to get to a certain point. But like, I remember even with our first community lift, our plane tickets got canceled heading to Atlanta the night before because there was that big outage, right? That big airline outage.
Dude, you drove though.
Yeah.
How long was that?
We got in a rental car and drove like 12, 14 hours straight through the night to. And
you didn't sleep either. You just went straight to the event.
Straight through the night.
Yeah,
and
I
like,
heard about that.
Yeah, because I was working an Avances shoot earlier that day, and I was so goddamn tired from that. Like, the shoot was like, whatever you think a shoot's gonna be, oftentimes it's way longer. You know what I mean? Where like, we were shooting for like 6, 7, 8 hours in this warehouse gym in Houston, and I get the notification while I'm eating that the flights were canceled. And Alex is like, what are we gonna do? Yada yada. And I texted the team, and I'm like, this is our first community lift. In my mind, it's not an option. We have to show up for these people regardless, because we knew people driving in from Florida, from Kentucky, from Tennessee, all over the South and the Midwest to be there at that event. And I couldn't live with myself knowing that we didn't do everything we possibly could to make it out there. So like, it's just having that figure it the fuck out mentality. Yeah. You know, drove to 3 different rental car agencies, drove to one airport, they were out of cars. Drove 45 minutes to another airport, got a Toyota 4Runner, drove 30 minutes back to my apartment, had everyone meet me at my apartment, drove straight through the night, switching off, literally falling asleep at the wheel saying someone else has got to take it, driving straight through the night all the way to Atlanta, get there at like 1 in the afternoon. Everyone's there. We had a great event, great time, had no sleep at all. And then, like, I couldn't even lift because, like, I think it was my week 4. I probably would have broken the body if I tried to do anything there. Just spent the time just being in the moment with the people, giving away clothes, and then following the event, hopped straight back in the car, drove 12, 14 hours straight back to Houston, and then we get back. We touched down at, like, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., go to the warehouse, steam all of season 1, take it to the gym, and then shoot till 4 o'clock in the morning the following day for our first ever release. Because it's like, you have to get it done. It's like, it's not an excuse. You know what I mean? Like, there's almost no other option. And I know that's the exact way that you look at it, where it's like, this is the objective, this is the priority, this is what has to be done. Everything else falls by the wayside. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. And with that, it's like, I'm sure that sucked. Like, you know, the circumstances, making the drive, but those are the moments that like really actually can catapult you ahead, because those people that showed up to that gym and heard the story of what happened to you and you still ended up showing up, those are going to be like lifelong supporters. So that's invaluable, literally. Like, that's the stuff that separates like somebody that's going to have a brand that makes it and somebody that's just like, oh, flight's canceled, guys. Sorry, maybe we can reschedule. Yeah, that stuff happens all the time too. Like, you see it, and people remember that type of stuff. You know, good or bad. Like, whether the person made the trip or didn't, that's sometimes like little make or break moments.
Right.
And how many times can you have that moment and be like, can't do this because this one thing happened? You just have to have that make everything that you need to happen. Like, think of solutions as soon as something bad happens. So it's just like a mentality, honestly. Just don't let anything like push you into the direction of quitting.
Right. Because the thing is that it's easy to say, oh, flight got canceled, can't make it. You know, that's easy. But like, what you need to have is that no excuses mentality. And that's why that's rule number 1 of worker. No excuses. You get it done regardless. And it's honestly, when it comes to like business, it's all about longevity. You know what I mean? Where if you're gonna cut corners or make shortcuts here and there, If you don't have sustainability or longevity in your business, you might be a flash in the pan in the moment, but those shortcuts add up. And if you don't have longevity or sustainability, you don't have anything when it comes to this, which is why you need to really practice what you preach day in and day out. Like, for example, if we just said, we used the excuse, flight got canceled, couldn't show up to Atlanta, sorry guys, for our first ever community lift, not only does that fuck with me, but that resonates with other people where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, they could have, it would have been inconvenient, but they didn't show up. You know what I mean? Like, you need to practice what you preach, because if you don't stand on the fundamentals that you preach, you're just a fraud.
100%. And probably one of the most important aspects of that is, the people who want to see you for sure. But a lot of them, maybe they are understanding. Like, what can he do? But I think what really stands out is to your team, the people that you're like, hey guys, this happened. But guess what? Meet me at my fucking apartment. We're getting a 4Runner, and we're gonna drive straight through the night, because that now sets the tone for the team as things progress, as your brand builds. These people who maybe something happens to them, maybe Dion's got to make a design, but he's tired, something happened. He's gonna think back in that moment and be like, nah. There is no tired. This must get done, and it's just going to trickle down. Trickles down from the top. That's why I try to, more so than like preach it, I try to just be the example. There's probably pros and cons to that, but I feel like people can just see me doing what I'm doing, and I hope that bleeds down into the rest of the team, whether it's like creatively or our gym staff, our managers. And it does. I think it does. Like we get a ton of compliments on the team that we have, the people that are here. The members love our staff. I mean, every once in a while you get a bad egg, but for the most part, like, hear nothing but like raving reviews. So I always try to kind of lead by example rather than be like barking orders. And so far so good. You
have to lead by example, and you have to have a team of killers if you really want to get the job done.
100%.
Worker, we run relatively lean right now. We have a fantastic customer service agent. Shout out to Ruth. And then we have a great guy who helps out with operations and fulfillment here and there. Shout out KD. KD's actually going to be here Saturday. This is a community lift as well. He's helping me with the booth for the tees.
Hell yeah.
But with me and Dion, like, we really hold ourselves accountable, where it's like we need to be firing on all cylinders at all times, maintaining the utmost discipline and just getting shit done to constantly move the needle forward. Because if you don't have that, and you don't have that sense of urgency, everything else falls by the wayside. And even with like my media people who help out with me, whether it be Joe or Ant, like, it's those small experiences that we have together where we're driving out to Atlanta on no sleep, falling asleep at the wheel, or just in Salt Lake City where we're getting up, missing workouts left and right here and there because we got to be at the booth, and we got to meet the people, and we got to be present. And from like working an event or a booth at Salt Lake City at USAPL Raw Nationals for 3 straight days, barely having any sleep, barely eating, still figuring out the ways that we can get in our work here and there in terms of our workouts. And then immediately following our event Saturday, or our last day of the booth Saturday, having no sleep, staying up because we had to wake up at like 3 a.m. to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to the flats to get a photo shoot done. Like, I lean heavily upon my team to meet me at that level to be able to get that done. And that's why you need to have a team of killers who's going to get it done and have no excuses, and have the vision in hindsight that you're trying to get to. And like, anything else doesn't matter. Like, you're going to get the work done regardless, because we're all here for the same reason, and we all have a job to do.
Yeah. The another kind of like saying is like, you're the combination of like the closest 5 people around you. And I just heard something the other day too. I don't know, it might have been like Instagram or something, but it was there's like legit been studies done. I think it was like a Harvard study that said it was like basically like in regards to your reference group. And essentially that's what it was. It was like the most successful people on earth, they have a very strong like reference group is what they called it. And it's essentially just like surrounding yourself with killers, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, high performers. And I think like those terms, like, I feel like there's a lot of motherfuckers that think you're killers. You're not. But you'll know when you see one, and I feel like kind of people like that gravitate towards each other, like fucking Debo, Sue, Joey, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like Joe Wee, like I've seen this motherfucker like on like 5 days in a row, like 12-hour days shooting at meets, and I think he's sleeping, he's still shooting. But like, well, he just like he gets it done. That's why like no matter what, like Joe Wee's like always one of the guys that like PWRBLD Media relies on. Like if we're going to an event 5 days straight, I think they've even done longer, some of like the Oli events, and it's like, I know those guys are running like hard, nonstop, shooting all day, barely eating, going home, editing, waking up to do it again, 5 days in a row, 6 days in a row. So, when you see one, and you got to keep those people close, treat those people well. That's something I like really try my best is like try to keep the people around me close that are truly about it, because that's literally priceless.
It's priceless, and it needs to be protected at all costs. I've always been a very introverted individual my entire life, and kind of being in other ecosystems, I tried to open myself up more and become better socially, and I definitely have for sure. But given like what I've lived the past 2 years, I definitely see the value of like when there's like bad eggs or bad actors in a situation, it can become very infectious and it fucks shit up. Like imagine the analogy of like putting a rotten apple in a bowl of normal apples. Like it's all gonna get fucked up. Yeah. You know what I mean? So just with the journey that we've been on with Worker, as well as just my network of people who are just killers like you guys, you know what I mean? Like there's that kind of intangible aspect that just allows us all to just click together, you know what I mean? Like when I speak to you, I feel like part of me, I feel like the best way to say this is I guess like I look up to you and what you've been able to do, and I would like to think that I can find part of that in myself where maybe I can pull off something to the level that you've been able to do. You know what I mean? And even Sue, the way that he's been grinding for years, Debo, the way that he's been in it for years as well. Like all these people who like I look up to and they're in my own different ways, it's important that people like that, we stick together. And with the team that we're trying to build with Worker, it's so important to have everyone so aligned with the end goal in sight and all be working together to get to where you want. Because if you don't have that, you're never going to get there.
100%. I appreciate that, first of all. But yeah, no, it comes back to like those core values too. If like somebody that you have surrounding you right now is not meeting those core values, they're not executing on those, it makes the decision a lot easier to part ways with those people, because it's not personal. There's been people that have been associated with the gym. Sometimes you just have to part ways. It's not personal. I still like them a lot personally, but from like a professional point of view, they just don't meet the criteria that PWRBLD has, and that's okay. Maybe they'll thrive somewhere else. But if you don't stay true to that, it doesn't take long. Just like you said, somebody can become a cancer very, very quickly, maybe even unintentionally. So it's something to just watch out for, and it just comes back to like make sure when you're starting something, know what you're starting. Have those ethos, the core values. Have a mission statement. Any business too. It doesn't have to be like fitness brand, gym, any business. If you're making fucking chicken sandwiches, have core values. Make the best fucking chicken sandwiches you can make. Shout out to Assad's, by the way.
So Sean, I know that you dropped out of school, right, to pursue everything that you are now, right? Mm-hmm. What other sacrifices do you feel like you made within your life just to get to where you are now? You're a great athlete, amazing athlete, and then now you're climbing the ranks up to establish one of the biggest and best brands within powerlifting. Within not even powerlifting is a small box, but within this generation right now. So what do you think that you sacrificed to get to where you are right now?
Well, first off, I appreciate that, but like I'm nowhere by any means like happy where I am right now. You know what I mean? I feel like I just have so much work to do into getting to like what the ultimate goal or destination is, and then even when you get there, you move the goalpost and you set another goal. But like I just moving away from home, you learn a lot about yourself. Sometimes you need to kind of get out of initially where you're from to be able to grow and kind of figure out who you are. And just sacrificing a lot of sacrificing, you know, just time with family. You know what I mean? That's a big one where, and you don't really take note of that until you're out of the house and you have your own life. And I read somewhere that during the time where you're living at home with your parents and you see your family, your grandparents, your cousins, your aunts, uncles, whatever that may be, the vast majority of that total duration that you have with them is gone at that point by the time you leave. You know, you might come home a couple times a year for holidays and things of that nature, but like just sacrificing the time to further my own goals and live my own life at the cost of maybe having time with the people that were always there for me growing up. It's tough, and it's something that I beat myself up a lot about because, you know, it hurts. Yeah. It hurts. And you don't really, sometimes, you can second guess yourself as to where you're headed or your goals, but you have to keep the end goal in sight, and you have to cherish the small moments that you have with those people and be in the present, you know. And from just another aspect, not even touching on family, just you have to sacrifice a lot of maybe what you want to do sometimes for like what you have to do. And that sounds like super obvious, but I mean, like all my friends back home, like, or not, when I say home, I mean Houston, which is home. Everyone that I'm friends with back in Houston, like, they're all in relationships, you know what I mean? And, like, they're all killing it, they're all doing their thing. Like, I love that for all of them, you know? But, like, I've had to accept the fact that, like, the road or where that I want to go down, or the journey that I want to get to, it's a lonely road, dude. You know what I mean? Like, the logical side of me knows that I have so much work and self-development and goals that I need to put on the forefront to get to where I want to be, or to, because like these years right now are the most precarious times for honestly like the rest of my life. With what I do on the day-to-day now, where I spend my time now is going to dictate what I'm able to do or what I can and can't do 10, 15 years from now, which is why I have to be so serious and intentional with what I do now. And I understand that, and I've accepted that, and I've accepted that sacrifice. But like, that's not to say that, like, you know, sometimes you're just in your room, in your dark apartment at like 11:30 on a Saturday night with no one else there, or like no friends to talk to because they're booed up with their relationships or whatever. And it's lonely sometimes, you know what I mean? But like those, and like that sucks to say, but you have to keep the end goal in sight, and you have to understand everything that comes with that, because without that, you know, it's easy to fall off of it.
No, 100%. That's always one of the big things that I reference people to. I always tell them, like, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot, whether it's family, a relationship, friends. And it's not to say you can't have them in your life, but it's just going to be limited. You know, like I've missed so many family events. Like there was a long time where like I would miss a lot of family events. I've tried very, very hard lately to make sure that I'm not doing that. But things are different early on. Not to say that I'm like, you know, sitting back or anything like right now. Like I'm still going as hard as ever, but I'm lucky enough that I do have some really good people around me that have been able to take a little bit off my plate. So I'm able to do a little bit. But early on, the first 5, 6, 7 years, just nonstop, always moving forward. Nothing could slow me down. And honestly, like there is some moments that I look back on now and I'm like, fuck, like that was like, I shouldn't have done that. Like I should have been there for this. You know, those are things that you like can't get back. But at the same time, like I feel like if you really want to make something happen, you have to be obsessed. And you have to be a little bit selfish. A lot of bit selfish, actually.
Yeah.
But it's for a bigger goal. Like, I always like Ken's my girlfriend now. She'll like, you know, she kind of puts me in check a lot of the time, tries to slow me down a little bit in a good way. But I tell her, I'm like, I always like reference the mission, and like the mission, like I have like something in my own brain, right? Like it's my own mission. It's not even like something I've like always shared with like anyone, but it's like, there's just like certain things that motivate me. that keep me going day in and day out. And I always like reference that. I'm like, well, I have to like, there's a mission at hand. And it's like, it's just kind of my own little way of like staying focused. But I do think that that's kind of necessary. Like if you want to kind of get over the hump of like doing something that's going to actually be successful, it is incredibly difficult. 1 out of 1,000 people probably have success in like a business. I don't know what the actual like, number is, but
it's hard.
Very, very difficult. And again, unless you're like truly obsessed, it's probably not going to work. And that just comes with a lot of sacrifice. So unfortunately, some people in your life, they're not going to get it and they're going to exit your life. Maybe it's only for a short time. Maybe it's forever. I've had that happen. I've had prior relationships where, long-term relationships, and they didn't work because of this mission that I have. And I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, you have to live your life. And you could take input from other people, especially people you love and care about and respect, but it is your life. You're going to have to make those decisions. If you want to do something next level, if you want to have that success, whatever that level of success is, you're going to have to do things that are going to hurt. You're going to probably cry sometimes sitting in your apartment, in a dark apartment, alone while other people are out with their girlfriends at the movies and restaurants. Yep. But guess what? The best idea you've ever had might come during that time.
And I was literally in that dark apartment when the idea came from me for workers, because I was having this existential crisis where I thought to myself, like, okay, the floor just fell out from under me. I'm in this random city. Like, what the hell am I going to do? No security, no safe net, no anything. I have to work. Like, I have to work to get to where I want to be. And I thought, like, that's a very universally applicable message, because everybody has to work. Everyone has to put their best foot forward and earn every single ounce of what they want to get to, because nothing's handed to you. You know what I mean? And you have to be okay with that sacrifice at the end of the day. And you do absolutely have to be obsessed. And, like, I think it is a bit of a mental illness. Like, I agree with you on that notion. I was dating this girl last December, great girl, and it came down to an ultimatum where she brought to me. She's like, listen, if we're not, because she wanted to spend more quality time, but like, I'm in such like a precarious spot in my life right now where I need to do everything for this business if I want it to work, or else it's not going to work. Or else it's not going to. And like I said earlier, these are the most important years of my life right now. So it ultimately came down to the ultimatum where it's like, okay, if we're not spending quality time 3 to 4 nights a week at the bare minimum, uninterrupted, no other work, just in the moment with said person, then we can't be together. And it was very easy for me, once presented with that ultimatum, to go, okay, then we're not together, because like, it's not going to work if that is the case. It's just not possible. So you have to be obsessed to the point where it kind of engulfs your entire life, and everything that you're working towards is that. Like, no exaggeration, worker occupies 85 to 90% of my brain capacity, and it really, it has to be that way if you want to get from A to B, and that's something that I fully understand and I'm committed to.
Yeah. And working isn't foreign to you. Like, since I've known you for a long time, right? So from the moment I've known you, I think you were like selling shoes, right?
Yeah.
This man has sold shoes to probably your favorite rapper. You sold to Meek Mill, right?
No, yeah, I remember Meek Mill. I never sold shoes to Meek Mill, no, but yeah, he followed me. It's funny experience.
He's plugged in a lot of great people, but you've ran into a lot of different business ventures within that time at a young age. What made you want to start your own business from that moment?
From which moment specifically? Like earlier on when I started flipping shoes and whatnot?
Yes.
It's tough because I just feel like it was always intuitive to me from early high school when I was flipping Supreme to the Supreme spring-summer season ended. And then I had a natural inclination towards shoes and clothes of that nature, which is why I think it was so easy for me to kind of take that pivot and start my own clothing business, because of the fact that I already loved clothing and fashion as a whole. It's almost as if, I think the best way to describe it is really just a natural inclination that anyone has towards whatever they end up doing or whatever they gravitate towards. Like it just kind of clicked and made sense in my mind, where it's like any like point where you can like buy for low and sell for higher, that's kind of where you kind of figure out where you can plug yourself into. So you're always thinking about, okay, what does this cost? What does this sell for? What is the like understanding supply and demand? It's all very, very known concepts, but just kind of rewiring your brain to think in a certain way, and then taking that and running with it. It's just the natural inclination that I had, just like how like someone who's like a scientist might naturally be attracted to that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You ever read the book Mastery?
I actually haven't. Who's that by?
I think it's Robert Greene, but
I was just listening to a podcast by him.
Oh yeah, he's good. He has a couple of good ones, but literally the Mastery book, it's all about what you just said, following your like natural inclination. So like we all, like Sue, he picks up a camera and he's like a fucking genius with it. Like, and obviously he's like, all right, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to see where this goes. You obviously had that with like fashion. You're flipping sneakers. You're involved with brands. Now you have your own brand, and it's clearly like, it's not just like a normal fitness brand, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's obviously more to it. And I feel like with the gym, like I've always just been obsessed with lifting once I got into it. It kind of just happened, right? Like it's kind of followed my passion. It comes down to just that, like inclination, passion, interchangeable basically. And I think that's actually like a really good kind of note to kind of start wrapping this up. If you're looking to do anything in life and have success, you have to follow like a natural inclination. And what that means is, what do you like to do? Start with that. What are you passionate about? From there, maybe that does turn into a business. Or maybe it turns into you get involved with another brand, and maybe you can make a living as an athlete, an influencer, content creator, whatever that may be. But start with that. Don't try to force something. I feel like that's where people get in trouble. That's where people fall off, because in reality, they're not that passionate about it. It's easy to bail on that idea or that project. Whereas if you're passionate about it, you have that inclination, like there's just something inside of you, you're like wired to do that, you'll keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think you should ever really try to force anything, really. I think that if for anyone out there who might be lost or looking for some sort of direction, you have to look internally as to what you care about, what you're passionate about, just like Collin was saying. Maybe any way in which you can provide value that you're passionate about and that you might have an edge upon. Naturally, if you're passionate about something, you might know or be involved with it beyond the surface value. Hence, you might be able to provide an abnormal level of value in said category, speaking super, super vaguely as to what you're able to provide. So he specializes in media. He knows far more than the average person or is inclined towards that, and he's able to provide a top-notch product or service. You know what I mean? So you gotta look internally to find some sort of direction as to kind of where you want to go. It's not as easy as just someone spoon-feeding you or telling you what to do or to do this. You know what I mean? You have to find it within yourself.
And when you enjoy something, you could do it for so much longer. I'll have like 5-6 hour training sessions, creating content and all that. It's just because I love it. It's just easy to me. Like, you don't have to tell me to stop. And that goes with anything in life. The more you enjoy doing it, the easier it is to do, and the more money that's going to come with it long term. You don't even think about money. Like, you would do it for free. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's just going to make it a lot more profitable and it will make you a lot more successful in the long run.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's, people, they'll ask me sometimes like, oh, what are you doing for the weekend? What are you doing for the holiday? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to be working. I'll be at the gym. Yeah. Sometimes I got stuff with the holidays, but for the most part, I just work all the time. Like, I'm never not working. Mm-hmm. Obviously there's some moments here and there, but for the most part, I'm always doing something in regards to Power Build. And that's because I just love that. I literally wouldn't rather do anything else. Yeah. It's not like I have to force myself to let me sit down and figure some shit out for this next campaign we have, or even if it's client work with coaching, I don't have to force myself to sit down and do a program. I want to get my clients a program, provide the value that I promised them I would. Gym members, buying equipment or cleaning the gym or fixing something, I don't know, that's not even a second thought. I want to do that because that's what I love. I want to provide value to the people who have now come into this community, and it's just, this is what we do. I feel like on that note, we should wrap this up.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. It's really been an honor to be able to break in the new set with you guys, and I just wanted to thank you guys for all the support and love that you guys have shown me throughout the past years, from 2020 where it all started, until now. It's been a crazy ride, and there's been a lot that's happened, but there's far more work to do. So appreciate y'all again.
Absolutely, appreciate you coming on. It's an honor to have you as our first guest. I feel like it was only right to have Sean on as the first guest. So Debo, appreciate you coming on as usual, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the damn channel, PWRBLD TV. We're cranking out content now. We got vlogs. We got the pod back. We got athlete content. Subscribe, like it, show a friend. We appreciate it. We really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one.
Perfect. That's a good one.
Wait, yo, did you guys see what happened at like the beginning?
Yeah, you like bumped it.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh fuck. I was like, this shit's all about fall apart.
I bumped my head on that. Started leaning over.